Hello and welcome to the Mentor Minutes podcast. I'm Jared, and with me today is...
Me, and I'm Steven.
It's Steven. He's our new co-host to the show, so everyone...
New-ish, like I've already been here for a few episodes.
Right? Well, this is your third episode?
Yep, third
Sweet.
episode.
So, now he's old hat, so...
That's right.
Too late. If you don't like him, it's too late.
Well, I mean, you can always kick me out and replace me, I guess.
All your votes have been heard, and I guess we're going to keep you.
Well... I didn't know it was up to a vote, but I appreciate everyone who voted.
Oh yeah, it was a huge ordeal.
All right.
Thousands upon thousands of votes, and worldwide.
I have to say I'm flattered.
Yeah.
Really.
Worldwide. They love the beard.
You could have chose someone better, but I appreciate sticking with it.
I think the only criticisms was there wasn't enough hair.
Right.
Up here.
Yeah, I have bad news. That's not coming back. That's gone.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
But so today we're talking about board games. And we're also going to talk about game mechanisms. We're going to maybe make our own game.
Yeah.
That's the thought today.
Well, that's like the overarching goal, right? Like we're not going to make any games today. We're going to talk about how we could make a game maybe one day if we felt like it, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. But let's talk it out.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also going to mention a game that we played today that is one of the lower rated games on the Board Game Geek website.
That's right.
We'll get to that in a second. I wanted to shout out real quick, if you're watching the video, I've got this light up laser engraved lamp, I guess you might call it. It's got remote control colors and everything. It's really cool. It's got the Meeple Mentor logo on it. When we went to Tantrum Con, I met up with Anya over at Fandom, the 308 Collective. I'm going to put a link in the description for you guys. She hooked me up with this so that we can kind of display this on the podcast and for all kinds of stuff for the channel.
Yeah, they look really great too. As you might know, I'm a pretty big Cosmere nerd, Brandon Sanderson, and she actually made a custom lamp for me related to Stormlight Archive.
Oh boy.
And I'm super excited about it. And I don't know, it's one of the things that I've noticed that it's kind of hard to show its full glory on camera.
Yeah.
So
hard.
If this doesn't show up perfectly, just believe that it looks really good in person. It's something that you actually have to look at.
It looks quite nice.
But it's pretty awesome.
I might just change the colors throughout the episode.
Oh, you can set it to fade and stuff?
Yeah, you could. Maybe there's a timer in here too. So there's a strobe setting. Yeah, there it is. Just flash around. So for all our ADD fans, you'll get distracted
that's a good point.
fast.
It's back to red.
I'll just do that.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so much, Anya, for this. It looks great, and I
awesome.
love it. I love it to death.
So our first segment today is first in a series that we're going to do. It's a series of giving a second chance to lowest rated games on Board Game Geek.
I'm not happy about this.
And I actually explicitly picked this because I knew he wouldn't be happy about it, and I thought that'd be pretty fun. So I'm looking at it right now. This game is ranked 22,158 on the overall ranking of Board Game Geek. It has
That's
an overall
probably
score
out of 24,000 games.
Something like that, yeah. It's one of the lowest games. I skipped over Tic-Tac-Toe because I will never play Tic-Tac-Toe. But this is really close to the bottom.
I have more fun playing Tic-Tac-Toe than I did playing this game.
Spoiler alert. Anyway, so this has got a 4.2 out of 10. So
That's
it's not
4.2.
It's not the lowest. It's over. That's an F plus.
An F plus. I don't remember in my school they gave out F pluses. Once you hit F, it's just an F.
Actually, I don't even think it's an F plus. I think you have to give her a 50 to get an F plus.
I think it was 60, 50 or 60.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so
4.2, not good.
Now to reveal the game we're talking about. Oregon Trail, the card game.
The card game.
That's right.
So do you remember the old Oregon Trail DOS computer game?
Oh yeah. I actually really enjoyed that game.
I did not, but I do remember the game, and I did play it, and playing this card game is very reminiscent of my experience and wanting to rage quit.
I think I mostly enjoyed it because it was one of the first computer games that I played, and so it was really a different and new experience.
Yeah.
I played console games before, but this was a computer game that I could play.
It is one of the earlier games. I think this and Lemmings were some of my earliest video games I can recall playing.
I don't remember Lemmings.
Yeah, it's fun. you kind of like, you got different types of lemmings and they do different things. You're trying to get them to a certain exit point every level, and that's it.
So more fun than Oregon Trail?
Oh, way more fun.
You ever play Chips Challenge?
Sounds familiar.
You're a little kid and you have to like hit different colored buttons to open different colored doors to get keys.
That sounds familiar.
I used to love that game.
I love the puzzly type of stuff.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, logic puzzles. There was another one where you rotated mirrors and like there's lasers and stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember that one too.
You know what I'm talking about?
That was good.
And there's like a guy with like a red hat and a blue like little jacket on, and you'd walk around all slow, but he was the one that had to move all this crap.
I don't remember that part.
I can't remember the name of that game. But anyway, a lot more fun than Oregon Trail. But for some reason, the game designers in the world decided that this game deserved to have a card game.
Well, I think it's a nostalgic thing. I think a lot of people do remember Oregon Trail with fond memories, and this is the age of nostalgia. And we have to bring something back that people can say, oh, I want that strictly because I remember playing the game as a kid.
Cash grab.
Yeah. But, we're giving it a second chance. We came in with an open mind.
You paid money for this.
I did. I paid money for it. I bought it used. I bought it at one of those like thrift.
That should tell you something.
Well, but we're giving it a fair shake. That's the point of this. So, of course, some people might not enjoy it. It got a 4.2. A lot of people do not enjoy it, obviously. But let's go over like how to play the game real quick. Just a quick description.
Okay.
So this is a card game. It's only card based. You have trail cards, and you have to place the trail cards in such a way to get from the beginning point to the end point.
Is now a good time to say that we didn't have the start point?
We did not have the start point because I bought it used, and it apparently was not in the box.
During setup, it said place the start card, and we didn't have a start card.
We had to improvise.
So we just grabbed a random trail card and kind of went for it. But I wonder, we had a lot of frustration with the rules in this. And you're doing fine explaining this, but there was a point several times when we had no idea what was meant by the wording of the cards. And the rulebook would only just say stuff like, oh, well, just follow the instructions, and the instructions on the card override what's here. And I'm like, there's nothing here in this rulebook.
Yeah. Like,
there's no clarifications. There's nothing to explain.
The whole section of the game, calamities, which are very important, and if you do not solve calamities, a lot of the times you die. Or occasionally you just draw one and you die.
That happened to me.
Luckily, only one person has to survive in order to win the game.
And that's one player at the table. You only control one character. It's not like we had multiple characters on this thing. It was just him and me, and if one of us dies, it's just him.
So kind of bad luck to begin with, or I guess low odds. What I meant.
I guess you need more players to suffer through it.
Yeah, I think the more the merrier, coming at it with a resolve.
Is there a player count on this thing?
Yes, there is. It is 226.
Probably 5 or 6 if you really want to torture your friends.
Yeah. I should have brought more friends in here to torture. That would have been good. But yeah, so you have to basically play trail cards one after the other and resolve those trail cards as you go. They could be just a basic card that you play and that's it. It could be a river. By fording a river, you have to roll a die until you hit an even number.
Just a d6.
If you hit an odd number, bad things happen. Sometimes if you roll a 1, you drown. Sometimes you just lose a supply card. Supply cards are how you resolve calamities.
Right. You have to have the right card. If you've played the far superior Millborn card game, in that game you're playing mile cards and that sort of thing. But if someone plays a card against you, like a flat tire or like a stop sign, that kind of thing, you have to find the right card to kind of resolve that specifically. And they took that and kind of added way more types of things that you can potentially get hit with. So you never know what supply you're going to want or need, because it's all random anyway.
Yeah, and you only start with 5 supply cards.
In a 2-player game, you start with 5, but there's like 6 or 7 different ways to, get rid of calamity cards, because there's different types of supply cards specifically used in those calamities.
Yeah, like if an oxen dies.
Whereas
or your ship.
In Millborn, I think there was only 3 that you ever had to worry about.
That would have made it better, I think. I think less variation with the supply cards might have been appreciated. I do feel like there is a good game buried somewhere in this game.
There needs to be more ways to draw supply cards.
Yes.
There just has to be, because their example of trying to overcome the fact that you don't always have exactly what you need is you can basically return 2 of your supply cards to get 1 of what you need. But
which is a huge loss.
It's huge because, I mean, you lose supply cards all the time, and having the right one is like almost impossible anyway. So I think, first off, there needs to be more ways to get cards.
Yeah. And I think, opposite of what you just said about the supply, I think having more different types of trail cards might be a good idea. There's 3 types of trail cards. There's the trail card that does nothing, there's the river, and then there's the one that spawns calamities. So a third of the time, you have to draw a calamity. Oh, I guess the towns and forts, too.
Yeah.
That's the one good type of card you can get. Overall, the game is a bit of a mess, I would say.
It's a slog.
I'm excited that we started with this one. I was really hoping to like it, but I just didn't.
I can't. I mean, it's painful, and you know, like you got to resolve these calamities, but there's one card that you can get that there's nothing you can do about it, and it's just you're dead.
Dysentery.
You draw the card, you're dead.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. So early on, I died, and watching him play through like the next like 30 cards.
I made it so far by myself. I made it about 60% through, I think.
Yeah, almost 60%. And watching him do this over and over and hit with cards and play it, and I was just like, I feel like I'm watching someone overdose in front of me, and I'm just saying, please stop, please stop.
It did feel like I was just going through the motions.
Like, I don't have a card, so I'll draw a card. I don't have a card, I'll draw a card. I'll play this. I got to roll. Oops.
Yeah.
Lose a card.
And I think the most infuriating thing is like if you hit a river that you have to ford, and if you don't roll an even, you have to keep rolling. And I somehow got like 10 or so odds in a row, and it's just the entire time sitting there, roll nothing. Roll.
I had pretty good rolls, but if you draw a card that kills you, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Too much randomness.
Is there anything positive you can say about this game?
Yes.
Hit me with it.
I'll have to think about it.
Okay. I can give you 2 that you already said.
Sure.
One is nostalgia. I mean, that sells games. Beyond that, I think you mentioned that the die is cool.
The die is cool. It's got a cool bit.
It's a D6, but the letters are in this green like
8-bit
font.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about it.
The die is cool.
You're paying money for a die and then trash the cards, I think.
Yeah.
I recommend don't even sell it. If you have it, just burn it. Like, don't make anyone else suffer this.
Nah, I think it's safe to make other people do it. And also, like, if you were like Oregon Trail, then like it kind of looks good on your shelf, I guess. I don't.
Debatable, I guess.
I don't like the nostalgia part of it, I guess. So I don't really appreciate that aspect of it.
Do we really have to keep playing bad games? Like, this is
it's a
torture.
series. It's a series.
No, this is one time so far.
But it will be a series. I've already invested in like 3 other games that are on the bottom of the list. We won't spoil those games.
Oh my gosh.
Because they're going to happen.
Someone help me.
But, you know,
trapped.
We're going to bring in other cool aspects too. And I think this is a good segue to the other cool aspect.
Yeah, let's switch over to our main topic today, which is about good game design.
Hopefully.
Maybe. We're going to try to make our own game.
That's right.
How's this gonna work?
So the way I see it, and you know, feel free to discuss. That's what this is all about, discussion. Is that we should start by just having a general talk about what kind of game mechanics we like to see, and what makes them fun. And so basically, just getting it out, what kind of game mechanics we would like in this game. And then once we have a list or an idea of what kind of mechanics they are, I was thinking maybe we'd let a setting and kind of gameplay grow out of that until we have something. Obviously, this is also will be a series. It's not like it's going to happen all today. Maybe today we would just talk about what kind of game mechanics we enjoy. Make it something basic.
Yeah. Okay. Question though. There's a lot of game mechanisms I enjoy, but some of them are better suited for a lighter game experience.
Sure.
Are we trying to steer towards a lighter or heavier game experience?
I don't know. Like, I think that we should just talk about mechanics, see what we like.
Brainstorm.
Yeah,
All
do
right.
a bit of brainstorming here.
Okay.
I think that's because I don't want to rule anything out, really.
Okay.
Because I don't think that any kind of mechanic is really solely for a specific weight of game. Maybe some more convoluted ones, I guess, but other than that.
So an interesting thought would be to take something that's only been used or maybe mostly used in a lighter game and put it into a heavier game and vice versa. For example, I'm thinking like I was playing New York Slice, and that's a really great example of a I cut, you choose game mechanism, and that's pretty much all that game is, and just trying to collect things for scoring points. But if you applied that to a heavier game, I wonder what kinds of things you could do with it. Whether it's, I mean, it doesn't have to be pizza slices. It could be cards, you know.
Right. Well, so the splitting aspect.
The splitting of a communal pool.
Right.
I also like the idea of everyone gets to see what is being cut up.
Yeah.
And that process of cutting it was fun.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a big part of the game, I think.
Certainly. I think that is what makes that particular game and that the way it uses it very interesting, and I like that aspect.
Sure.
So, you know, if we had a game where there was a lot of different stuff that you had to divide up for everybody and you get last pick, if we do it publicly, in a public way where it's not like I have 6 cards and I'm dividing them up and then I pass them to you secretly,
Right.
it's not as interesting.
Sure.
Right? That's my point.
I definitely agree with that. I think that it made a lot of effort go into making sure the pizza slices are, or the segments are maybe equal or also appealing in some way that you can end up getting the one that you wanted. And that's a difficult kind of puzzle to solve, I think.
I mean, you could do that with like resources, for example. Let's say, you know, you draw a card that dictates how many resources and what amounts are available that round for everybody. And then whoever's that first player divides it up for everybody.
Yeah, I like that.
You know?
So, one, I think, kind of similar, maybe a little bit.
You could even implement this in like a Catan variant, you know, like starting cards,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I kind of see what you're saying there. That may work, but I think that we can't go based off of just that mechanic.
No. That was an example.
Oh yeah, good example.
So, do you have any?
Yes, I have one that I've been thinking about for a minute or two.
Yeah.
I played the Turmoil expansion to Terraforming Mars recently, and I really enjoyed the council. The way the council works is that you have a chairperson and you have several different parties, and each team or person has their own team of chair people, or I guess council members. Councilmen.
Sure.
And each round you can put one into a party for free, but you could also pay to bribe other councilmen to be in any party you choose as well. And after every round, the party with the most councilmen, the leader of that party becomes the chairperson. And each party has a different kind of perk associated with it. So it makes sense to try and beef up one party, and when that turn rolls around, that's when you use all of your titanium cards or whatever, for instance. But yeah, I thought that the politic aspect of it was really interesting. I would have liked it to be a bigger part of it. Have you ever played the Game of Thrones board game?
Second edition.
I love that the king can actually make decisions and change the course of the game, and you have to like elect a king. So like part of the game is trying to figure out who to elect when, to hopefully have them rule favorably for you. And I think that's a really interesting kind of aspect of, like, you have to choose someone other than yourself. It's kind of similar to, you have to separate the pizza.
Yeah, like whoever's in charge has to make the decisions for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting aspect, because you have to choose someone to do that every turn.
I like that. I was also thinking of a cool mechanism with a card drafting game that I like called Bargain Quest. Have you ever played
Oh
this?
yeah, I like Bargain Quest.
One of the things I like about that is from the cards that you draft into your hands, they're all items that you're going to try to display and or sell to attract and then sell, hopefully, to an adventurer that comes out that round. Well, one of the unique things here is the popularity or the heart rating, desirability rating of the items kind of affect like your first pick of which adventurer, maybe who has the most money or who whatnot.
Yeah,
Gets
because
to
they
come.
appeal to different adventure types,
Right.
right?
There's different types and everything, but you have to choose one of your cards to be like the window card,
Yeah.
the one that attracts them, but then you can't sell that card.
All right.
Yeah, so you can keep it for the next round, but you want it to. You also want to make money off of it, but you can't do it that round, or you might have to get other cards to sell, and so maximizing selling a lot of smaller goods or less useful goods, whatnot, while trying to choose like which really valuable thing I'm going to show. I like that decision making process and the sort of feeling that I wish I could also sell this, or I wish I could also swap these out or something while they're in the shop and whatnot, but it's just not available.
I feel like you have to think about if you want to burn your like best card to lure the people in, or you want to save that so you can actually use it and get more money or whatever.
Right. Because money is a very important resource in the game, and you do need the money, but you also need to steal adventurers, especially certain adventurers from other players because they've got combos they're building and stuff. So I like that.
It's similar to Boss Monster as well in a way.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I think I like the implementation a little bit better in Bargain Quest, though.
I agree. I think they're very similar games, honestly, except one you're building the actual dungeon, the other one you're just preparing them, and then they just fight an actual boss.
Yes, there's no dungeon, it's just
there's
the boss.
no dungeon. And so, I mean, they're very similar in that regard, both theme and their card games. But I think overall, Bargain Quest is a better game.
Sure, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I really enjoy engine building games where you have some kind of really basic thing in the beginning, and every time you play a card, it like helps. So you can like get more cards, play more cards in the future.
Or something where you start with things covered up, and then when you do actions, they get moved off, and then new things get like available.
Sure, yeah.
Like that happens in Great Western Trail and Maracaibo and a number of others.
Well, I think
even Scythe to an extent has that too.
Right.
Because when you do those actions, you move the cube up, and then it like makes the bottom action stronger, and that kind of stuff.
Well, and I appreciate those kinds of games too, and I think like Great Western Trail is a great game. But what I mean exactly is more where you have a tailored experience to your engine that you're building. Custom. Because I think custom. Because I think that there's so many different combinations that it's exciting to figure out like, okay, what kind of combinations can I play, and how will that like become broken, or I'm playing 10 cards in one round and going through my entire deck or whatever in a turn. And I think that a lot more exciting instances can happen if it's something where you get to completely customize your engine.
That also reminds me of the game Oh My Goods, another card game, also Alexander Fisher. It's a game with multiple use cards, and so there's different ways that they flip down, they become a good, they flip up, they're a resource generating type of farm or factory or whatever. And the cards that come out kind of affect what resources you get to use during the game. And if a certain, I think it's like 2 different cards that have like a sun on it come out, then you stop drawing. So it's not a push your luck, but it's like you don't know how many cards you're going to get that round, because once that first set ends, you do 1 round of things, and then you do another set, but it could be 1 card, it could be 8 cards.
Yeah, right.
And so you don't quite know what resources you're going to be able to use, but then you try to generate and then build more factory cards and that sort of stuff. It's really cool.
Is it the planning? Because you do have to, it sounds like you have to plan ahead a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
I do like that. I like when you have, because I no matter what the game is, I like planning out multiple turns in advance if I can, if it's possible. And you'll see me when I'm playing, just like if I'm having a set of cards in my hand, I'll put down 3, then like 1, like, okay, this is next turn, this is next turn.
Like Robo Rally.
Well, yeah, actually, that's a good point. I really, one of the things I like most about Robo Rally is that you have to plan 5 rounds in advance, and it can get pretty chaotic.
Right.
Well,
5 turns makes up 1 round.
Sure, right. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think if we're talking about specifically that game mechanic, I think I enjoy the implementation in Gloomhaven better.
Like
and that,
choosing 2 cards?
So you have 2 cards, and you play 2 cards, but other than the one that has your initiative value, you can choose top of one or bottom of the other, but you can choose that on your turn.
Right, yeah.
And I like
it's
that.
Flexible.
Yeah, so there's a bit of flexibility added to it. So if there was something like that, and maybe Robo Rally is a bit too basic, but if you had to plan 5 turns in advance.
Yeah, well, the thing that helps Gloomhaven's randomness factor is that regardless of what the action says on the top or bottom half, they also have the default 2 attack or 2 move.
Right.
So even if you kind of get hosed, you can at least do something. I think that's a good way to handle that. Whereas Robo Rally, if you end up with a card that you can't really place or go with, there's no other alternative way to use it.
Well, that's part of the chaos of the game.
It is very chaotic.
You have to suffer through.
And that's, I think, goal-wise, Gloomhaven strives to be a little bit more in your hands, and Robo Rally strives for chaos.
I think we should kind of thread the needle there, go for something like right in the middle.
Okay.
If we choose that mechanic. But I think that both of them are really good, notable examples. But I think a fusion of both of them would be pretty cool.
I mean, some of my favorite worker mechanism or game mechanisms are worker placement and deck building.
Well, you play a lot of worker placement games, right? That's one of your favorite types.
It's one of my favorites. And I especially like deck building when it's comboed with other stuff.
Sure.
So it's not just a deck builder, but it's part deck builder, part something else, or it's this whole experience and you got a deck building system going on. So like Dune Imperium, Lost Ruins of Arnak, Clank, even The Hunger, these are games that use deck building as a mechanism in the game, but it's not a deck building game, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Great Western Trail was like that too, right? With the
absolutely.
But that was just with the cows.
Yeah, I mean, you're not using those cards for anything other than discarding for actions.
Yeah.
If you're on the right spot, or turning them in for points, right, for money. So I guess even that is less of a, what cards can I get? Because in Nemesis, for example, everyone has unique decks, but the only new cards that you really get are typically bad, because they're contamination cards.
Which is a deck destroyer type game.
Deck destroying. Deck
destroyer.
Which we've kind of coined here at the Mentor Minutes channel.
That's right.
Or podcast.
Yeah, so I think that's a pretty notable name, right? If you have a deck, this is your pristine deck, and everything that happens to it is something that's bad. You're not deck building.
Yeah, one of the ways that you can play Robo Rally is the damage system is you take a spam card to your hand. And basically it clogs up your hand and eventually your deck and all this kind of stuff. And so in that version, everyone has their own deck to sort of minimize the shuffling time and maximizing just the odds of you getting useful cards. But in that case, the spam is just destroying your deck. And instead, there's no other way to like rebuild it. It's just trying to mill those out. I do like the mechanism in that where you have to play it to get rid of it. So you're kind of like suffering through. Right. And you program it, and then you get a random card with it. And then it's gone. So, but it only affected you that one turn.
I do, yeah, that's nice. I think there's a few different examples of that, but I think that's a cool mechanic to just kind of get it out away.
Yeah. So, in a lot of games that have deck building, there's always actions and things that let you trash a card from your deck. I think Robo Rally, in that particular instance, is a really interesting way of doing it.
Yeah.
It's like you have to play the bad card to get rid of it.
You have to suffer the consequences. There's no way around it.
But I mean, there's other good cards that you also might want to trash just for sake of efficiency.
Sure.
So that has some adjustment.
With a pure deck builder.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see.
That's a good one.
Worker placement, though, Yeah, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. And I mean, there's so many good examples of great worker placement games.
So when you say worker placement, do you like the finite resources where you have the workers and you have to plan out which resources you play, or do you like that the exclusivity, like you have a certain places you can play where only you can play in because, and so you have to plan the order because other people might take your resources?
I'd say the second one.
Really?
I like the sort of, I have to adapt my turn based on what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And try to come up with a new strategy in the middle of everything. You know, like usually you have all equal workers that really just do the action wherever they go. But in games like Viticulture or other, I think...
We have the big boy?
Yeah, you got the big boy, and then with the expansion, Tuscany, you've got like the moms and pops and like the the farmer and his wife who have random special abilities each game. Those are really interesting. I like the thought of that and having special workers. And Anachrony is another example of special workers where you've got 4 types.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And so they have, if you use your scientist to collect water, he gets extra water. If you go, you know, to build with an engineer, you get a discount of stone when you build. Like, I like those kinds of things too, because not only it's how many workers do I have and what spots are available, it's where do I want to use this particular worker.
Yes.
That's cool.
I agree with that.
That's one of the reasons I like Anachrony so much.
Well, then all we have to have is a politics class, or a politician, I mean, and then we can have them go to the council.
What are you talking about?
If we add the council to your worker placement game, then we have a specific type of worker that's a politician that does really well.
Lobbyists,
yeah.
Lawyers.
This whole thing is going to be a Congress worker placement game. It sounds...
I'm already disinterested.
I was going to say it sounds great, but I'm not sure if I would actually
I don't think I'd want to play that.
No. Let's scrap that idea.
It's a hard sell.
We can keep those ideas in some other form.
Let's keep that council idea, but not call it council, and think of other ways to use it.
Sure. That's fine. Yeah. I don't want to build Congress the game.
No. We already deal with that enough.
That's true. So enough about that.
Yeah. How about what's some of your favorite mechanisms?
Okay, so let's see. We've kind of danced around it, but I think what I would say is my favorite is the ability to have some kind of deception where you have to kind of question each individual person's motives. And obviously you can do that all the time where you see them play somewhere and you're like, oh, what is he trying to do? But I like when that's an integral part of the game where you have to in some way trust someone because they're helping you, but you don't know why they're helping you or if they're actually being honest with you. And so actually having to play off of one another, I think, is a really fun mechanic.
That reminds me of when I first played Coffee Traders. Do you remember? Have you played this game?
No, I don't think I ever have. I've seen the box, and it's really cool looking.
Really heavy Euro game.
Yeah.
But one of the interesting things about it is there's a lot of interaction, considering it's a Euro. One of the things that can happen is if you are sending a person to put a plantation worker like out into a plantation, like you get a bonus if you send it to someone else's plantation. So you're helping them, kind of.
Yeah.
But there was an instance when I played it, and I said, how about, since it's mutually beneficial for the 3 of us, if I help you, and then on your turn you help him, and on his turn he helps me, right? And that was this mutual, like, who's going to betray who? Because if not everyone does it,
then it's ruined,
then
right?
It's kind of ruined. And so my turn was suboptimal, right? Because I could have like made sure that my guys had workers on them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gotten extra points for it, but at the same time, like, it's mutually beneficial if we all do it. But if one of us didn't, then
it's less beneficial.
It's less beneficial overall.
Right.
I like that type of thing too.
Like game theory.
Like game theory?
Yeah, where it's a...
Oh, like the prisoner dilemma?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's like that.
Yeah. I like that. We should build that into a game.
Let's make a prisoner game.
Okay. Where there's some kind of prisoner council?
I think that works thematically as well. And maybe we could kind of work something with that. And instead of a council, maybe everyone has participation in the politics of the prison.
Okay.
You know, and like trying to usurp your authority, you know, and
To get like better jobs and stuff.
maybe better jobs, maybe more resources, whether it's cigarettes or whatever they trade, you know.
Oh man, I don't know. This is hitting a little close to reality.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, at least it's not a game about trying to get the Aboriginals out of Australia. So it could be worse.
It could be worse. Man,
So
Martin Wallace.
we'll just go with it, right? We're not.
Yeah. Or, I mean, if we go to the aspect of like avoiding detection, avoiding arrest, instead of being in prison, but like being questioned,
Oh yeah.
right?
Okay.
So no one's in prison yet.
So we have some kind of secret organization. Can we do that?
Yeah, like, yeah.
What do we call ourselves? What is a secret organization?
I don't know. What do we do?
Heists.
We do heists.
Because then we have different classes, right?
Okay. Yeah, there's
You have a
that makes
safe
sense.
cracker class and
Yeah, the driver.
The driver. Oh yeah, we have a
Yeah.
driver. Some kind of guy with connections. The boss.
The electronics guy.
Electronics
the
guy.
camera guy.
Ooh, like with drones and stuff. We could have drones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like the first scene of Dark Knight. It's like, nah, I killed the driver.
Yeah. All right.
I killed the bus driver.
Of all the heist movies, you chose Dark Knight.
I'm just because they were like offing each other and they were naming
Right.
what they were doing.
Okay.
And it's like, once I crack the safe, I'm supposed to kill so and so.
Right.
It's like, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there's a little bit of that where you
Right.
can, if you kill someone, if you do defecting, if we're going back to the game theory,
Yeah.
then you could get a bigger reward as long as not everyone defects.
Mhm.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah. So maybe like multiple heists. You have to have a way to get back in after you've been.
So 3 rounds.
Okay.
A heist each round.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a phase in the heist where everyone gets questioned.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone folds, they get a big reward. Everyone else like takes a huge cut or penalty, and they have nothing to start the next heist with.
Yeah.
You know, or limited, right? And so you got to collect resources like rope and like your outfit and your ski mask or whatever.
Sure. Your materials, whatever
Right.
it is.
But you're being questioned each round, and so there's this aspect of which team are you going to be doing this heist with, and who is going to stay loyal to you, because there's going to be like, if you join my kind of project that I'm working on, right? Because you get to do 3 heists. But
Sure.
if this round I join your heist, or I get an item.
Well, hang on. I think
that
we
can
should
help.
all be on the same heist.
Yeah.
But maybe having like there could be alliances within the heist to be like, okay, we're going to work together, and whenever the cops come asking, we're going to rat them out.
Yeah.
If you cut out 3 of them against 2, maybe if those 3 work together, obviously you 2 are going to get cut out. But if they don't work together, then 2 can win. And I think that has to be something that has to be formed at the table.
I think it should still be possible for a single player to be able to win.
Sure.
You know, I don't know. It could be interesting because I could see like maybe in the first heist we worked together, we both benefited, but in the second heist we didn't, and we each did something separate, or maybe we ratted each other out. But then by the end, we could both
We came together and
Yeah.
we're friends again.
yeah,
I like it.
something like that.
Is there should be a way to like secretly bribe people, not necessarily pass messages, but pass like supplies of some sort in a covered environment, so you can't really see what is being passed, but you know that something
Face
is
down
being
supply
passed.
cards.
Sure.
Right?
As long as you know that something is being passed from
Right.
player to player.
Yeah, you can see. Okay, I've got these 4. I'm going to send 2 to you and 1 to you, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like that was helpful, I assume, but
Or could not be.
or maybe it wasn't, because not every card's going to be good.
And they're probably not going to tell because
They're not. I like this.
Yeah, this might actually work.
Mhm.
Is it a good time to tell you that I really didn't think we were going to get anything out of this?
Yeah, I didn't think so, but I like talking about game mechanisms, and we're pretty smart guys, I think.
All right, so well, jury's out, but we'll figure that out later.
I mean, reasonably.
Sure. Yeah.
You
All right.
know.
I did lose again at tack. Not again. I lost tack to your daughter. So like,
You did.
I
mean, you're not the smartest, but you can win. You've beaten other players.
have not.
You've not won TAC.
I have not won a game.
Well,
of
TAC is the measure of how good you are at
That's
games.
true. Then I guess I'm not. I've almost won mini games of TAC. Every game I've almost won. I guess that's my opinion. So
It's a
maybe I
2-player game every time.
Yeah.
So
Well, you can do really
I
bad.
got second place every time.
You can do really bad, or you can come pretty close. Like there's a tight match.
Yeah, but the people that can tell what is close in TAC are like very few.
That's true.
They're like half the people that just walk by, but like, what is this?
Yeah.
And what's happening? And oh, you won? How did that happen?
Right. Okay.
Was that close? I don't know.
All right.
You know what that's what I'm saying.
So maybe I'm not good at TAC. One day, one day I'm going to play him and actually beat him. It's going to happen.
I don't think so.
And we're going to do it live on this channel.
I don't think so.
So.
I mean, I just don't think it's going to happen.
That I'm going to beat you, or we're going to do it live?
Either.
We're going to do it live. We're going to film the whole board, so there's no way any of us can cheat.
He's taking over the channel, everybody. You see this? We got a new series. We got TAC that's happening.
Yeah, well, it's going to happen on the podcast. I guess, well, it has to be a separate video because it's going to have some
It'll be
visuals.
a podcast supplement.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we have to have everyone's angle. We got to make sure everything is on the up and up. No cheating allowed.
How do you cheat in TAC?
I don't know. I'm not good enough at TAC to know.
Not good enough to know.
It's a hard game.
It is hard.
But all right, so
Are we
we
going
got.
to talk about TAC every time we turn on this podcast?
I hope
Oh
so.
my gosh.
No, I don't know. Maybe
I don't think so.
we do have a rivalry going here.
Is it though? I mean, I think you're just upset that you haven't won. It's not really a rivalry.
Okay, you could have
A rivalry kind of implies like wins and losses. You know, like
well. So
you've only lost.
maybe a future rivalry, like one day
I think
in the
you're
future.
just upset. There's a difference.
It's going to happen live on this channel.
Comment below in the video.
Is he mad or is he a rival?
Is this a rivalry or is he just mad?
Yeah. Okay.
And what's the difference?
Anyway, yeah.
I've got them
So
all flustered. Everybody.
we got that heist game going. Everyone
We'll just
loves a good
call it-
heist.
Call it the heist.
The heist. All right, but like, so what's going to happen each round? Is it going to be
Heist
a
club.
worker placement during? Well, that doesn't make any sense. Does that make any sense?
Worker placement?
Each heist is his own worker placement.
Each heist, no. But during the round, you got to be able to like use workers to collect and do things.
Sure.
And you know, depending on what you do, could be suspicious in general. It's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Because if we're on a team, then he's doing that, or he's already got that.
Yeah.
Or-
And maybe certain worker placement.
So there's got to
places.
be hidden card information.
Sure. Yeah.
I like that. And we can also use the bargain quest thing where you kind of show one thing, you know, and it's like, oh, see, I have this, but you don't know that actually I've got really good cards here,
Okay.
you know.
Can we have like a heat meter to see who like
Yeah, notoriety.
should notoriety and like how the interest level of the authority should it be per player, or is it overall? Okay, so the cops are really hot on us right now, so we need to all lay it low, or is it like what would you prefer there?
I don't know. I like the idea of kind of having a notoriety track or a heat track that maybe you get penalized for doing something when they're looking at you. But I don't know. I'm not seeing like the restrictive nature of just saying, okay, if it's this high, you just can't do
Well, yeah,
this.
I'm not saying you can't do anything. It's just
Right.
that maybe, like there's certain things that you shouldn't do because once the round is over, maybe there's no like definitive cutoff. Now you can't do anything. It's that the higher it goes, the more likely you're going to be to have a negative outcome when the round is over.
Kind of like in the game In Too Deep. Have you played this one yet?
No, I want to.
Yeah.
You
so
just filmed that recently.
I did.
Right?
I just put out a tutorial recently for it, and we interviewed the designers. But one of the mechanisms of that is when you complete a plot card, you choose what type of way to resolve it. There's the less risky way and then the very risky way. And basically the difference comes down to immediate points versus evidence collected, which can be used for other stuff.
Okay.
And how many of the cards that you draw that basically contaminate your, involvement in the underground.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like those cards could have high values or low values, and whoever has the highest at the end of the game, if the plot's foiled, they get penalized. And so I could see how you know, like maybe the higher the notoriety is or heat, then you have to draw more cards towards something like that.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I like that.
I do like that too.
Yeah.
I would like to play it first to make sure
Yeah.
to know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, just watch the tutorial.
But you have to experience it.
Well, then you know what I'm talking about.
Sure, I will know what you're talking about.
And then we can have a dialogue, and then we can play it.
Okay. But we do have to play it before we figure out if that's.
Oh, I've played it.
I have to play it because
I was just messing with it. It's so easy, you guys.
live on this channel, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna beat him attack.
Ugh.
All right. Anyway, yeah. So I think it sounds like we have a decent idea of
Well, we're still brainstorming.
Sure. Okay. Well, do you have anything else to mention?
I like movies. We could base it on a movie.
Well, I would like to think more about that because I have a question for you. Now that we've kind of wrapped that up a little bit.
Okay, we'll take a break from that.
Last podcast, you sprung on me and asked me what my favorite movie was.
I did.
So this time, I have a question for you.
Okay. This doesn't sound good.
What has been an impactful album in your life? And I'll go first if you want.
There's a lot, I think, for me. Pearl Jam's 10, the Pixies' Surfer Rosa, Nirvana's In Utero.
All good ones. Yeah.
Radiohead, pretty much anything. All of them. Really important.
So, like, are you talking about like the album? So, take me through it. Like, why? Yeah. Why'd you choose those?
So In Utero is probably like one of my favorite albums of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the best Nirvana album for me.
Oh yeah.
It's got a raw sound. It's just, very talented musicians, very interesting songs, very unique styles of play. And I think just the height, of their collective skills together and making some really solid music.
Yeah.
It's not it doesn't always have a clean sound like, say, Nevermind did.
Yeah.
So it's not as mainstream of a thing, meaning a lot of those songs aren't always on the radio.
Sure. But that's not, I don't think that's a gauge of how good
No, I'm just kind of describing the album.
Yeah. Like Op Ivy. Op Ivy's got a lot of great songs, but they're definitely nowhere near production value of like Rancid.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I like Rancid, Here Come the Wolves as well.
Yeah.
That's a great album.
Mm-hmm.
I would put that on there too. I think I listened to it a lot. It was a formative album for me at the time, as far as influence of the genre of punk and grunge rock and being a musician. A lot of my drumming style at the time, was very much influenced by Nirvana, by the Pixies, Radiohead, and Fugazi as well. So those are some bands I was listening to a lot of, and yeah, I think Surfer Rosa is probably the best Pixies album.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah, and just every song is brilliant and unique and just infinitely re-listenable, right? Mm-hmm. And I love their style. Like the Pixies actually influenced Kurt Cobain quite a bit. And
that makes sense.
He mentioned he also talked about like the Talking Heads and whatnot, but the Pixies were known for introducing the really soft verses and really loud choruses, and just sort of the amount of energy behind the vocals that sometimes contrast with the music, and then the music often takes center stage when it gets chaotic.
Yeah.
And lets the vocals do its thing later. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really cool dynamic of music.
I need to ask you about more albums because that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's something that I've never really considered why I like the album, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. If you listen to something like Hey, it starts out very low key, but it's like a shout. Like the very start of that song is Hey! And then comes the bass line. Boom, boom, boom. And it's not even the start of the bass line. It's like halfway through the bass line that song starts.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really cool. If you've never heard it, go listen to Hey from the Pixies.
Hey.
Yeah. Vocally, he introduces the song with a shout, but also it just kind of flows into the middle of a verse.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you're in sort of a bridge, and then the chorus comes like way later.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of thing that I like. Another great example of a album that I love for a similar kind of reason is NoFX Punk and Drublick. When that came out, that was, I think, often rated as like one of the best punk albums, at least of the year, but perhaps forever. Like, it's fantastic. His song Linoleum, which I think was the first track, has no chorus and no bridge. It's just a series of...
Does it not?
No. It's just like a series of whatever.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. It's like the definition of what a good punk song should be. Like, it's catchy a little bit, but it's not repetitive.
Yeah.
And it tells kind of a story, but it's also really raw, and it drives, and there's never a dull moment in the song. And you never are expecting what's going to come next. It's got a high energy behind it, and I mean, it's just a great song.
I saw them live at Warped Tour one year.
Me too.
And I thought that was one of my favorite shows. They really did a great job live.
Saw them in Charlotte.
Oh, okay. I was not in Charlotte. I forget where I went, though.
I think we drove to Charlotte for it.
Oh, it's not that far.
Right. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. NoFX is probably one of my favorite bands.
Really?
Yeah.
I would rank them up there for me, too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Each of their albums are so different. Both stylistically and, like, the tone. Like, if you listen to Liberal Animation versus Pump Up the Volume, like, completely different. You'd think they're almost different bands.
What's the one, War on...
Errorism?
Yeah. I think that was my favorite.
That one came a couple times, or like right after Pump Up the Volume?
Was it?
I think so.
I know it was mid-2000s.
Yeah, I've kind of flowed between which of their albums are my favorite. I really like Punk and Drublick. I also really like Liberal Animation for different reasons. It kind of brings me back to like when we were starting our punk band, because that was kind of the raw sound and energy that everyone had.
So you have a punk band?
Yeah.
Do you have any of the music? Can you play our outro, be your punk band?
You want me to put one of our songs in the outro?
Yeah, like make it like have a rolling credits where it's like, Meeple Mentor, Jared, Steven. But while it's happening, play your song.
Sure, I'll put something out there.
Cool.
That's fine. It's on Spotify.
Well, I want to hear it here.
All right. Well, anyway, then if you're interested, it's called My Favorite Illness, and that was our punk band for 3 or 4 years.
All right, I'll check it out. Sounds great.
We had 2 albums, but only one of them's on Spotify because I got to pay for it.
You do?
Yeah. You got to basically pay for like a record broker to kind of deal with the major people.
I figured they just headhunted you, be like, hey, you're good. Someone
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. All right.
But anyway, Punk and Drublick is probably one of my favorite NoFX albums. And then also So Long and Thanks for All the Fish. Thanks for All the Shoes. That's the other one. So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes is a ska punk type album that they did.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah. It's the more I hear it, the more I'm like, this is so good. It's probably out of all of them, his voice sounds the best on that album.
That is really surprising because I love ska. But
yeah, I mean, it's not a ska. It has a lot of ska in that album.
Sure.
And I think when it came out, it alienated a lot of fans because a lot of people were like, what is this? Like,
yeah. Because that's not really their scene, I guess.
Well, so when El Jefe joined the band, he added a diversity of instruments as well. Because not only was he a backup guitarist, but he could do trumpet and trombone. And
that's what you need in a good band.
Right. So he had all this brass instrument experience. And so he'd throw those in there, and now they could just make, like, they had a whole new sound. And it started with the first album when he was on, which I think was called White Trash, 2 Heaves and a Bean, which is just the title of the album and referring to themselves, of people in the band. Great album as well.
Did you ever listen to, was it The Descent?
Yeah. I love that album. That song.
That song album.
It's like 17, 18 minutes.
Yeah, single song.
Longest punk song you'll ever hear. The Decline.
The Decline, yes.
Not The Descent. But
Right.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
And yeah, I actually owned the actual CD. And if you look at it, it's like clear on the outside.
Because it's only the inside.
Because it's only the inside.
I had it
there's
too.
like a little,
I had it.
yeah, tiny little. Yep, it was cool.
That was a good one. All right, cool. That was a much more detailed answer than I was expecting.
Well, you know, like I'm a musician, and music means a lot to me. And
I figured that would be pretty easy for you to come up with on the spot, but I was really hoping to, you know, at least catch you off guard a little bit.
well, maybe next time.
All right.
Try me again next time.
I'll keep thinking.
This is the part of the show where he tries to catch me off guard. Throws me a random question that I have to then answer off the cuff.
It's going to be like super niche trivia next time.
Oh gosh, trivia?
Like, what is this game? What game is this from or something?
Yeah, it's like, what is in my pocket?
I mean, it'll be doable. It's going to be a small wooden piece. I want to say right now, tell me what game is this from?
Yeah, but it has to be something, if you do that, that is like, only that game can have it.
Sure.
Like, it can't be like a settlement piece from Catan, because there's like a million games that use that piece.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean?
All right.
So,
I got one in mind that I'm sure you probably never even heard of the game.
oh boy. Well, how am I supposed to... Okay.
All right. Well, that's a bad example. Let's not do that one.
You didn't even tell me what it was.
Next time we're going to do trivia challenge. See if we can get some get Jared answers some trivia live.
So this whole let's play some bad games and make Jared hate it, and then let's make Jared answer questions that he's uncomfortable with. What is this?
It's not making you uncomfortable. I just want to catch you off guard. I want you to be able to have to come up off the cuff with an answer. To get the real Jared, you know?
Uh-huh.
Who is Jared, really?
I'm me.
But who is that?
How am I not myself?
I'm not saying no, but who is that, you know? Like, think about it. Sit down and just think about what that really means.
I have. I'm a philosopher.
Oh, right.
You know that.
I do know that, yeah. Well, that took the wind out of my sails.
Bam! Yeah, what I mean by that, for those listening, is I have a major in college, like a bachelor's in philosophy.
Yeah, philosophy degree.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
So-
I've thought about it.
Qualified enough. It makes sense.
I thought about it. Well, this has been a very interesting episode. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, I think this is the first one that I've told you all the things that I want to do when you just put it all into one episode, right?
Yeah, I didn't say no to anything. I said, let's do it. You said, let's make a game. I said, let's do it.
So let us know in the comments if I'm good at planning out episodes or not.
And hey, if you have any ideas for our game, and maybe if you thought some of our ideas were utter crap, let us know.
Or good.
Or
great.
good.
Don't, make them yourself, though. This is Meeple Mentor
Ooh,
TM.
Yeah. TM, yeah.
TM.
You're right.
Trademark.
Well, once it's published, it's officially on record, right?
Yeah.
I guess.
We probably won't sue, though.
Actually, contact us if you are a game publisher and you're looking for someone to make this game.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
That's a good point. Yeah, we are working on it. So free game that you can publish.
It's coming out.
It's not free. You'd have to pay us.
Maybe in a couple of years.
Right.
But looking for feedback.
Yeah, catch it on Kickstarter.
This is interesting. This is a fun topic to sort of just brainstorm what your game would be, and we made some progress.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that we came out with some kind of like setting at all, because I was really planning on just talking about strictly what mechanics we enjoy.
Yep.
And then thinking about that for like a week
like
or so.
car mechanics.
Car mechanics. They're generally nice people. You want to play us out, Jared?
Yeah. So this next track is from my first album called How to Tune Your Vacuum Cleaner in Drop D. And I'll link the Spotify link to that song in the video description. So check it out. And yeah, it's been fun.
So does a vacuum cleaner in Drop D suck more?
You'll have to listen and find out. Bye, everybody.